Hey, what's up everyone? Wow, it's been a while since I've recorded a video. I think the last video I did was the California Extreme preparation video, and that was at the end of July. So it's been a while, but for good reason. But first off, here I am in my girlfriend's garage, and this is pretty much where I've been for the last couple of months, it feels like at least. So after California Extreme, you know, we got the games moved back into the garage, and first off, everything's in the new orientation. I've wanted to do this for a while, and I think this layout is not only the best for a variety of reasons, but the orientation of these games plays really well with the monitors. I think this really maximizes the space of the garage. So basically, you know, when we go to California Extreme, we take, you know, what, 10, 12 of these games. And so it's a really good opportunity when we bring them back to rearrange everything while the games are outside the garage. And so everything's in a new orientation, a new home, so to speak. And I do think it looks really sharp. I think, again, this really maximizes the space since we're in a garage, and, you know, with this hobby and with just about any hobby, your space is very limited. So this allows us to move about freely, but also get as many games in here without feeling too tight. But anyways, getting back to California Extreme. So afterwards, after we got all the games in here, the next order of business, honestly, is getting ready for Halloween. And that's what I've been doing with these games now for the last, I don't know, 6-7 weeks, it feels like. Just making sure everything's running perfectly, the monitors all look good, every game plays properly, because of course, you know, like with any event, they're going to take a little bit of a beating. And so there's usually some TLC and maintenance to do. But the big reason for preparation for Halloween is that out here in this town that we live in, Halloween is like the biggest event. It is the event, the holiday of the year. And everyone kind of comes here from out of town. It's a really big deal. And what my girlfriend likes to do, she's been doing this for years now, is we'll open up the garage here, fire up all the games, and for a couple hours on Halloween, the public's welcome to come and play all the games that they want. And this is a big crowd of people that come here. In fact, I should pull up some photos, but this place just gets crowded with people, everyone enjoying these games, and it's a really good time. It's a lot of freaking fun. So I've been working diligently these last, it feels like a couple months out here, just making sure everything plays right, the monitors look good, games, you know, all operate at 100%, because you want everyone to have a good time with them on Halloween. So yeah, I've been spending a lot of time out here. So that's why I haven't been able to get a video done and posted for quite some time. But I thought, now that I'm at the end of the finish line with these games, it'd be a great opportunity to do that walkthrough video I've promised for a while now, and just kind of talk about each one of these games, maybe what's been done to fix them up, kind of how the games work, and yeah, just talk about all these games that are in the garage. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So let me stop the camera for a second. I will shut the lights off. I'll fire up all the games, and then yeah, we can just kind of walk through and talk about each one of these games a little bit more in detail. So, all right, hang tight. All right, so here we are. Got the garage all set to, basically this is how the lighting and everything is when me and my girlfriend are playing games out here. Nothing but just some LED, blue LED lights, and track sounds and other ambient noises, all the good stuff. But let's get started here. So first up, we've got Baby Pac-Man. For those of you that have never played Baby Pac-Man, it is a video pinball hybrid. So you actually have, just like with Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man, you have a video section, there is a monitor, and you have a joystick. But then if you go down the tunnels, there's 2 open tunnels on the maze that opens up the pinball section here. And the pinball section is equally as important as the video section. You need to use the pinball section here to earn Energizer pellets, to get speed ups for the tunnels, to earn fruits. So really you need to capitalize on the pinball section. It's actually a very fun game, but it's brutally difficult. I thought I heard that the reason for the difficulty on this game is that the people that designed Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and all the other video games did not program this one. And for whatever reason, the ghosts are really difficult. They're really smart. They'll double back on you. I think 2 of them are faster than you. For sure 1 is. And yeah, it's a very difficult game, but it is a lot of fun. And let's see, what did I do on this recently? Well, we had some bulbs that were out in the playfield, so got those fixed. There were also some flicker issues with the bulbs, so that's all been taken care of. I recolor balanced and dialed in the monitor, so it is very vibrant. It's already been rebuilt. I did that a while ago. And then, oh, and this wasn't saving scores for a while. It would get hung up, and this game does typically save scores. And so we got that fixed. And so everything's 100% working. It's a lot of fun. Very difficult game, though. I can't stress that enough. But that's Baby Pac-Man. Moving on, we've got Asteroids Deluxe. Most of you are familiar with Asteroids. The cool thing about Deluxe is, and I don't know how well this is going to show up, probably terribly, but there is, let's see here. Yeah, there's too much glare. But there's a 3D, you can kind of see it. There's a black light reactive 3D background. So there's a physical background there. And then the monitor sits facing upwards, and there's a half silvered mirror that reflects the actual image, the black and white image from the vector monitor onto that 3D backdrop. And it's a really cool effect. It looks way better in person, looks really cool. But it's Asteroids, essentially. And a lot of fun, obviously an iconic classic. And I believe there's a multi-kit in this cabinet too that my girlfriend put in. And so you can play some other games too. But yeah, I do like this one. It's a very pretty looking game, but yeah, we got too much glare on there. But yes, that is Asteroids Deluxe. Check it out in person. Next is another black and white game. This is Circus. This is one of my favorite games. I am a sucker for spinner games where you use a little spinner knob. So like games like Breakout, Arkanoid. And this is kind of similar to that. Basically, you're using the spinner to move this paddle down here, this teeter-totter, and you're bouncing a guy. He'll jump off there, and you're trying to hit your partner up high enough to pop all these balloons, and you get points for that, and you're trying to clear the stage. And this game also has some really cool sounds. In fact, the bass, so this game will make some sounds. One of them, when your guy's flying, it has this real deep bass, this boom sound. And for whatever reason, all the other sounds, you know, are at a certain level, but that bass sound is much louder. And I swear it's the one game that you can hear that sound through everything else. It's really funny, but I love this game. I play it a lot. There's a lot of competition to getting a high score between me and my girlfriend. So it's a great game. It's very cute. I love the marquee up here with the blinking bulbs. It's a great game. In fact, the first time I played this, well, it wasn't even the arcade version. It was on the Atari 2600, and it was called, I believe, just Circus Atari. And you use the paddle controller for that. I didn't even know there was an arcade version for years. And yeah, this is obviously the superior version of that, but very, very fun game. All right, so now we got Fire Escape. Now this is a mechanical game, similar to a game like Ice Cold Beer or Pinball or anything like that. So you've got a marble-sized steel ball. It starts up here, and the whole premise is you're trying to guide that ball down to about here, and you're using these controls down here. You've got this like spigot You've got this this spring lever here, and then this guy which releases the ball. And so you're trying to guide a ball down here, and then you fire it using the control out there, and you're trying to get, like, ideally like a free ball, and that like 3,000 or 5,000 points, which is really difficult to do. Or if you're really skilled, you can get the ball like right around up here, and if you can pop it and get it into the bird's nest, you get a ton of points. And so you can actually, if you're really good at this, I suck at this, but if you're really good at it, you can keep getting free balls and more scores and really rack up a high score, like into the millions and millions. I can't do that. I suck at this, but it doesn't prevent me from trying. But yeah, it's a super fun game, and using these controls are a lot of fun too. But that's Fire Escape, so it's kind of a skill mechanical game. Very cool. There's a long story behind how my girlfriend obtained this. She actually got it from one of our friends who found a boatload of this game, which up until that point was pretty rare. But that's a long story. That's for another day. But that's Fire Escape. Very fun game. All right. Well, I guess we can stop here. And this is our Whac A Mole. My girlfriend's had this for years, and at one point she thought about selling this, but she changed her mind pretty quickly, because at Halloween this gets non-stop play. People are lined up constantly playing Whac A Mole, and it's such an iconic game. We'll usually move this game outside of the garage because there's so many people crowded around it or waiting to play it. So this will typically get moved outside of the garage, but yeah, Whac A Mole, you know, not much to say. All right. So then we've got Cloak and Dagger. Now this is a dual joystick game. This is actually in a Defender cabinet. So this game Atari produced as a kit for commonly for a Defender cabinet, and that's exactly what this is. This was originally a Defender cabinet, and we restored this together as a Cloak and Dagger. And I mean restore as in we really cleaned up the sides. There's dedicated side art. I know it's dim lit conditions here, but it's a beautiful vinyl artwork on the sides here, and there's artwork on the kick plate, a dedicated control panel overlay, marquee, glass, the whole shebang. So by all intents and purposes, even though this is a kit, I would call this a restoration. But anyways, yeah, this used to be a Defender. It was a very beat up cabinet, and then we went through all the TLC and got up and running. But yeah, it's a very fun game, and the premise is that you're this Agent X, this green guy here, and you're basically trying to get plans to the evil, I forget what his name, Mr. Boomer, Bomber. So you're moving around, and one joystick shoots your shots in whichever direction you hold it, kind of like Robotron, and then the other moves you around. And you're trying to collect maps, and you're trying to, well, you can see here, shoot explosives, get out. You have an igniter button, so you're dropping a bomb, setting it off, like you can see here. So if you, oh, well, of course, the attract mode's too fast. It's a fun game. So you're trying to go from level to level, floor to floor, and stop this evil guy from setting off bombs, from making bombs, and you have to get maps and all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a tough game too, but the little animations in between stages, which I don't think the attract mode shows you, are really cool. They're really large sprites of a guy in an elevator, of this guy in an elevator, and it's a lot of fun. It's a cool game. But yeah, one of those dual joystick games, kind of like Robotron. And speaking of Robotron, we got Black Widow here, and it's not Robotron, but it's very similar. And again, another dual joystick game, but instead of a guy going around shooting up robots, you've got a spider that you're controlling, and you're basically killing other bugs and insects, and also collecting points in the process. Well, you can kind of see the attract mode here. So you're crawling across this web, and each of the bugs and insects that you kill are so many points, but it's a lot of fun. I actually prefer this game over Robotron. I mean, it's a personal preference, but the sounds of this game and the fact that it's a vector game just adds so much to it. And it's a very fun game, very fast-paced game, great sounds, good visuals, and vector games are cool. So, but yeah, that's Black Widow. Then we got one of my favorites out here, and that's Elevator Action, the game by Taito. And this game, I probably play this. This is probably one of like 3 or 4 games I play the most out here. I love this game. So we'll wait until it gets to the attract mode. But essentially, you're kind of like an agent, and you drop in the top of a building, and you're, like the title says, elevator action. You're moving from elevator to elevator, moving down. You have to go into each one of these red doors and collect special documents or evidence. And then you're moving down, all the while avoiding these guys. So you have a jump and a shoot button, and you can do both at each time. I think you can shoot a total of 3 times on the screen at once. But yeah, so you're trying to get all the way down to the very base of the floor, down to floor 1, and then that ends the stage and you move on to the next one. And it gets really frantic once you get further and further up the levels, and the closer you get to the floor. There gets to be more and more elevators that are constantly moving that you have to wait on, all while you're getting shot at by these guys. There's escalators too. So it gets a bit frantic, but man, is it fun. And you know, simple premise, but hard to master game. Easy to pick up. A lot of fun. That's Elevator Action. All right, moving along, we got Shadow Dancer. Shadow Dancer, I believe, is the sequel to Shinobi, if you guys have ever played that. So you're basically this ninja, and you're going through, it's a side-scrolling fighter, or side-scrolling shooter fighter. It's a platforming game. And so you're throwing these stars to kill the guys, or if you get real close to them, you have a sword. And then you also, unlike Shinobi, you've got a dog here that you can command to to distract the enemies, and then, of course, then you can attack them. You also have a magic button, so you've got 3 buttons: jump, attack, and then you've got a ninja magic. And you get 1 per stage that replenishes between stages. And it's a really fun game. Very difficult game too, but you know, my girlfriend has a soft spot for it because you do have a dog, and we're big dog people. But that's Shadow Dancer. A lot of fun. On a good day, I can get to, I think, the 3rd level before croaking. I usually don't continue because that's just me, but but that's Shadow Dancer. All right, Karate Champ, another iconic game from the early 80s. If you guys have seen Bloodsport, you'll know why, but I have a soft spot for this game for a variety of reasons, and this is one of those games that I refuse to let my girlfriend sell because I play this quite a bit, always trying to go for a better score. But for you fighting game guys, you know, this is the granddaddy of fighting games. Unlike a lot of the games nowadays that have like a 5 or a 6 button setup, you had 2 joysticks here, and one joystick will move your guy, the other joystick is the attack, and the combination between the 2 provides all your moves, and there are a lot of them. In fact, let's see here if I can zoom in here. You can kind of see a little grid here for what does what, but it takes a long time to get comfortable with that. And then on top of that, you have to memorize all the moves and the different joystick combinations. And if that wasn't complicated enough, if you play on player 2 side, everything's inverted. You can kind of see the color scheme here: white, blue, blue, white. So you have to fight like a switch hitter, so to speak. And and be good about being able to switch that up. So that's usually my gauge for someone that's good at this game, their ability to switch between player 1 or player 2. Because it's real, you know, after a while, it's real easy to get comfortable on one side. But if you switch it up, it kind of, at least for me, it takes me a second. But I love this game. I love how hokey it is. The hit detection isn't great, but man, I don't know, there's something charming about it, and that's Karate Champ. All right, next up, another classic, Moon Patrol. I don't know, not a whole lot to say about this except it's a simple game to pick up and very difficult to master. You're riding around in this tank, and you've got 2 buttons, jump and fire. When you hit the fire button, you can see you fire vertically as well as horizontally. And so you have to basically get good at timing your shots, but also timing your jumps. There are certain times where you need to be going slow. And so you can see here, you've got a 2-way joystick that if you hold back, you go slow. If you hold forward, you go fast. And so to clear certain jumps or to avoid enemies, you need to get good at using those speeds. And yeah, very simple game to pick up, but man, this game gets tough. But boy, I do like it. Let's see here, what's next? We got Gyruss. This is another shooter, like a space shooter. But what's really cool about this game is it uses, oh man, I know the lighting's low here, but it uses this, they call it, I think, the Monroe joystick. It spins in a perfect 360-degree fashion, and for good reason, because your ship actually circles around. It's kind of like, it's almost like the pseudo 3D effect where you're flying into space in like a first person, or here you go. So you're circling around as you're flying through space, and so that's why the joystick moves that way. And it's a lot of fun, but one of the most appealing things about this game is the music. The game uses like some sort of remixed version of like the classical Bach music. I think it's Toccata and, oh, what's the other one? Was it like Fugue in D minor, something like that. But like classical Bach music, and it is amazing. It is such good music. The game is stereo, so there's 2 speakers, and they're actually right underneath here, right underneath the glass. And so you can really hear it. It's got a good bass, good thump to it. It's honestly one of the most appealing things to this game is the music. But yeah, so that's Gyruss. Got a nice little Atari Neon sign up here. That was a gift from me many years ago. All right, let's see here. All right, we got Defender. Defender, another classic game. Probably familiar with this one. Boy, we got some bad glare here. Let's see. Well, let's try to, we're just gonna have to suffer through the glare. But another classic Williams game, and on this one, I guess I skipped over what I've done, you know, the work I've done on some of these other games, but mostly I've been doing monitor work, and this is one of them. The tube that was on this chassis, the tube for the monitor that was in here, was absolutely shot. In fact, the guns had a short on them. It was very faded. The image was very soft. And so we replaced the tube swapped it out, rebuilt the chassis, and it is super sharp. In fact, this is actually a 20-inch tube that's in here. You can make them work. Originally there was a 19, but yeah, so that's a brand new tube that we pulled out of a TV. So very, very, very good looking image on there. But yeah, that's Defender. Space Fury, another vector game. This is kind of like, how do I describe this? I think of this as almost like the color version of, I would say this is the color version of Asteroids. It's similar thing. You've got rotate, so you're rotating your ship, and then you've got thrust and fire. The difference here, other than it being in color, is that you get different ships. So depending on the stage that you're on, well, and then you've got that guy provoking you, that big head. um, who's taunting you throughout there. But you get different ships depending on what stage you're on, and they have different properties. So it's kind of a cool aspect because you've got some ships that shoot multiple shots out of the back end as well as the front end. Some that, they all have their pros and cons. And so it's, it's a fun game. And then you've got the voice of that giant head to add to the fun and chaos. He's always, depending on how you do in the game, he'll say, whether or not you were like a worthy adversary or whatever. So the attract mode is well worth it. But that's Space Fury. And another vector game, a classic, Tempest. This is a pretty iconic game. I think most people recognize this one, where you've got a spinner, you've got a super zapper, and a fire button. And you're going around the different shapes of the level, shooting these guys as they come out. I don't think I need to say a whole lot. I think most people recognize this game. Definitely an iconic game. One of the better vector games, if you ask me. Nothing's more gratifying than spinning that spinner and shooting up a bunch of enemies. And it just looks cool with that pseudo 3D aspect of it. All right, Miss Pac-Man. Well, I don't think I need to say hardly anything about this game other than how iconic it is, and you need to have one in your arcade because this will always be gameplay. Even if, I've got one too. This is the only game that me and my girlfriend overlap. We both have a Miss Pac-Man, and for good reason, because it's a crowd pleaser. Even the people that aren't into these games will sit down and they'll play this. They recognize Miss Pac-Man, and even if they're not into these other games, this will get played. So, gotta have one of these. This is running the BitKit. So, BitKit has a bunch of different games on there, but when it comes to Halloween and having people over, Miss Pac-Man's always on here all the time. Otherwise, we might play some other obscure game. Like me, I like Eyes. That's what cabinet my BitKit is in at home. But yeah, you got to have Miss Pac-Man. And this cabinet we completely restored. This was a labor of love because when she got this, it was beat to hell. We went through new art, new artwork, new marquee, rebuilt the monitor. In fact, swapped that tube out as well. And the only thing that we did differently was, as far as a restoration goes, was we added buttons because of the BitKit. For playing those other games, you need more buttons. So we just added a couple buttons over here and over there. But otherwise, yeah, we restored everything about this. We went through, redid the sides and the kick plate, and this is not vinyl, this is actual paint. We went through and we stenciled all the sides of it. So this was all stenciled paint. We used rattle cans, and it was a learning experience, a labor of love, painstakingly tedious process, but it came out great, and I'm so proud of this. But yeah, Miss Pac-Man. And then if you guys saw my last video, or not last video, but one of my recent videos, this is the Vapor TRX that we picked up for free back in April, I think. It had a monitor problem, got that fixed, rebuilt her, gave it some TLC, and this game, we were just kind of thrown off by how much we actually like this game. It was kind of a surprise, because we're like, well, it's free, so that's cool, but are we really gonna like this game? Late 90s game, racing game, and the answer is yes. In fact, we play this all the time. It was an unexpected hit, and we're both really happy with it. It's got a beautiful monitor, a lot of fun. It's a futuristic racing game. You're kind of, you use the yoke and you've got some fire buttons, so you actually can shoot the other racers. And when you knock one of them, or blow one of them up, I should say, they're out of the race. And so it's a lot of fun, very gratifying. And you have different But we're on the hunt actually for another one of these because you can link up to, I think, 8 of these. And we want at least one more because playing head to head would be awesome. And, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great game. So yeah, that's Vapor TRX. You're basically racing these hovercrafts or spaceships, whatever you want to call them. I think it's, yeah, some sort of future hovercraft. Kind of reminds me a little bit of T-Mech in that regard. But there you have it. That's Vapor TRX. You know, before I proceed, I skipped over. I talked about Defender, Space Fury. So let me just, Space Fury's monitor. This went out months ago, and I fixed that up and got her dialed in, reconverged it. So that's so I worked on that game, worked on Defender, Tempest. Had to adjust the monitor a bit. It was a little bit out of the convergence. Got that dialed up and good. Let's see. Gyruss, we got new glass for it recently. That's not quite as dark. It's half smoked, I think. Adjusted the monitor, recolor balanced it. It needed it. Rebuilt the monitor in Moon Patrol. Readjusted and color balanced that one. So yeah, a lot of monitor work. Rebuilt this K7 in Shadow Dancer, recolor balanced it, redialed it in. Didn't do anything with elevator action because that's already been rebuilt. Replaced the monitor in Cloak Dagger, had a 4900 in it that I didn't like. For horizontal games, I typically don't like them because they have some weird geometry quirks. So I picked up a couple of non-working K7000 chassis, fixed them, and then this is a tube that I got off a guy on Facebook Marketplace, a TV, and that I just wanted the tube for. So this is a brand spanking new tube, so to speak, with a K7000. So got that all dialed in. And I think that catches us all up. So yeah, a lot of monitor work. All right, pins. All right, starting out, we got Lord of the Rings. This is a pin I actually had on my wanted list for a good chunk of time before my girlfriend ended up finding one that she couldn't refuse. This is actually a home use only, and not a whole lot's been done to it, other than we put a color DMD in it to replace the monochrome dot matrix display. But yeah, no, for the most part, this is all original. It's in immaculate condition, and it's a super fun game. I think the Balrog and the multi-balls are some of my favorites, as well as all the modes, but it's a beautiful game. So that's Lord of the Rings. I think that came out in the early 2000s, I want to say, like 2003. Oh yeah, it's got the Balrog topper up there. Yeah, it's a cool pin. Oh, another pin that was on my wanted list until Carrie got it is Twilight Zone. I think this one came out in the early 90s. This is what's considered to be a wide body cabinet, meaning that the width of this pin is slightly wider than your standard pin. So it's wider than Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I have memories of playing this with my dad in the arcade. It's just a great pin. Even if you aren't familiar with the show, which you should be because it's a sweet show, it's a great pin, and it's got a lot of stuff going for it. A lot of fun stuff on the play field. The big clock here, the gumball machine. She did throw, there are some mods that we added to this, such as the Robbie robot right there. The gumball mod. The original Twilight Zones did not have the colored gumballs in there. I don't know why. So that's a mod. We added a color DMD, so you get color on the dot matrix display instead of just the monochrome. I think that's kind of a must for any of these. If they've got a color DMD available, I think you should just replace it. But yeah, it's a super fun pin. Well regarded in the hobby. I think this is always on like the top whatever 20, 50 pinballs of all time. So always a desired pin in the community. Speaking of which, Funhouse, another one that's highly regarded and usually desired. Now this, I think this one came out either in the late 80s or early 90s. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say like 90 or 89, something like that. But this is Funhouse. And so this is not as new as Twilight Zone and Lord of the Rings. But so you can see the scoreboard uses that digit LED display. So I think they call this like the solid state era. But yeah, so this is another really fun pin. You've got the character's name's Rudy. You've got his head there that animates, and he'll be taunting you and doing call outs and making announcements as you're playing the game. But it's a very fast pin. And it's also got a second plunger over here. So sometimes if you hit the ball up around the orbit, it'll come around here, and then you'll have to do a skill shot with this plunger down here. But Funhouse is a lot of fun. It's a really cool pin. Just the giant head, the Rudy head, is a lot of fun. There's a lot of funny things about it. You actually have to shoot the ball into his mouth at one point, and then to unlock some modes, and yeah, it's just a great pin. So all three of these are great pinball machines, and yeah, I can't complain. We used to have a Tales from the Crypt, and but there's only space for three for three pins out here, so I think she's done very well. But yeah, with that, I think that's everything. Oh, a couple wall things. So she's got some marquees up here that she's collected over the years. I've contributed some of them, like that Cheyenne up there. Let's see, some Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt comic books, some more marquees, and then this guy up here. So you can see that that's the front of a TV, an old, what is that, Mitsubishi, that she had picked up for the tube. She had come across a couple of older TVs that we use the tubes for these arcade monitors. And she had mounted just the front bezel because it split in half. And it seemed like a shame to toss it out. So she had this mounted on the wall. And one year, right around Christmas, or before Christmas, I got the idea as a gift that I would find an LED TV screen that would just perfectly fit behind it, because I thought it's a shame, we should do something creative like that. So I mounted that to the back of it, mounted that on the wall, and then I got a little media player that uses like an SD card. And I spent a while hovering YouTube and finding old commercials, namely console commercials from like the late 70s, early 80s. So like in television, ColecoVision, Atari 2600, as well as arcade games. And I just edited those all together. And so those are, there's like, what, 3-4 hours worth of commercials. And those just are always playing in the background. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool little thing to add out here for some ambience. And then I think the last thing is just, oh, come on camera, set your exposure there. I got her 1 year for Christmas, another gift. That's a good thing about this hobby. You can just keep finding gift ideas. But I got this old style beer display that she uses as a scoreboard. And so we've got some scores up there that don't save on the games. And actually some need to be changed, because we've, like the Circus score, I've beat that score. So we need to change that score. There's a couple others up there, but yeah, so it makes for a nice little scoreboard, and that we just have all this stuff turn on automatically with the arcade. So there you have it. But that's a longer video than I was anticipating, but that is my girlfriend's garage arcade, and we are now ready for Halloween. for all that fun and chaos. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next video. All right, bye guys.